Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Ted, hanging out with my colleagues,
Dave,
Nate,
and today we got a viewer request from Ori Halori. I hope I pronounced that right. On doing a gnome monastery.
well, no, actually, so the question was, they didn't actually ask a question, well, they did, but they asked, how do we feel about a gnomish monk, right? So my response is, well, I like gnomes and I like monks, so why not? And I was like, you know what? That might be a cool monastery for us to do. So thank you for inspiring us to. We're going to hash out what our gnome monastery would look like, why they've come together, and where we're going to put them.
All right. Well, first off, is it exclusive to gnomes?
I would say no. I think it's a place of enlightenment.
Okay, because that's going to make a difference. Because anytime you've got shorter races that make something exclusive to them, your ceilings all of a sudden get dropped.
Well, I still think that would be the case for the most part, because that's or maybe it started off that way. So
maybe the founder was a gnome and his apprentice were gnomes. So
yeah, or I don't that's a very good question. Like is it like a whole cloister of gnomes that start this and they kind of branch out from there, and maybe later on as other races get incorporated they
have to build another section so that the people can actually stand.
No, I think it would be more like the vaulted ceiling feel of monasteries, but it's gnome scale, so it's only like 7 feet tall.
So Nate can stand up.
So you're feeling a little claustrophobic, and a half-orc's going to be like ducking their helmet through the doorways, but it's still got that open air feel to anybody that's like this tall.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I can dig it.
All right.
So we also have, our founder, right, and the original occupants. So are they forest gnomes?
That was my next question.
Are they rock gnomes?
Rock gnomes, because that's going to depend upon
Snurf Nebli?
Is it built? Is it built underground? Is it
Nebli.
built in a mountain, or is it built in the forest? It's going to be probably closer to what the point of origin of your sub race.
I like the forest gnome idea because first off, it's not gonna. I would think it's not a monastery in the mountains, which is kind of the classic trope for it. But I would say that it's actually like tree houses or things of that nature, some kind of more natural landscape, like a giant Zen garden that's actually the monastery, but maybe has those. It's not all open air. It is kind of incorporated, but it has a lot of gardens.
Almost like Barrowish.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's look at gnomes first of all.
So maybe there's roots from the trees coming down through it, but still has that kind of like windows to outside on a hill or something that are. It could be an entire hill really, with a forest on top.
Yeah, that will work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that has got some certain viability options.
So forest gnomes get a bonus to Dex and Intelligence. Dex is always useful for a monk,
right? Because they can use finesse weapons, and they can deal straight damage with their
minor illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad cantrip, useful for pretty much anything. So that's helpful. But then I also feel like their ability to speak with small woodland creatures kind of lends itself to that kind of like enlightenment, cloistered away.
Absolutely.
Communing with nature.
So you wind up having a lot of small animals and mammals and whatnot, in the area.
Around hanging out.
Because essentially everybody's talking.
They're all basically the crazy old lady feeding the pigeons in the park.
But I would also see that, with them getting minor illusion, that they would be working that into, their actual battle tactics.
Oh, if someone wants to assault the monastery.
Well, I mean, just in general.
Oh, you mean also their fighting style,
right? We're developing the monastery, so I would have to think it's going to be just more than just the looks. What makes this particular group of monks unique, and if they cantrip a sound behind somebody, either before a fight or during a fight, the person might just turn around, or it's gonna be involved in that.
If they weave enough distractionary tactics that are real with the illusionary tactics,
right?
So it'd be a lot of like hitting slapping people with branches in a forest that's kind of like holding them back and hitting them, like using your terrain, and then also creating noises that are nothing. But then there's also things, well, you don't know if that's someone stepping up through the leaves or some creature, or is it illusionary sounds of that occurring. So it's kind of a lot of flanking. I would think that they would fight in like a flanking type pattern where that you don't really know if there's a gnome coming up on you that's going to kick you in the head, or if it's just rustling leaves that aren't anything.
What do you think?
Well, I think I'd rather think of them out of combat first. Like, you know, what's the monastery like? What's, you know, what is the pecking order? What is, you know, why is there a monastery? You know, how did this come to be? You know, it's an organization. Well, a monastery is like an organization. Did they come together to combat something specific? You know, when I think of monks, I think of, you know, enlightenment and you know, people, you know, meditating and studying.
Well, so you'd basically think, you know, a gnome who broke away from a standard tradition, you know, of his race, went off and studied to be a monk, and has kind of returned to his people to say, this is what I've shared, and he instantly gets a following, and he begins training them as his disciples.
I think there would have to be some kind of,
I think that's boring,
legendary start thing. I would think, like, not so much you go off the train, but some kind of this person probably like.
Well, let's examine gnomes. They are cerebral creatures. They're not creatures of enlightenment. So right there, you're kind of bucking the norm.
Right.
So what drove this gnome to seek enlightenment, and then want to pass it on to others and want others to do it? So I almost feel like there should be some kind of personal quest, maybe not quest, but it's responsibility that's been taken on by this gnome, and it's so important that not only does he have to do it, he has to then enlist others to carry it on beyond him.
Okay.
You know, almost like, you know, in Eberron, the gatekeeper tradition.
Right.
You know, what if they built a mound in a specific spot for a specific purpose? You know, why? Maybe the monastery is there for a reason. Maybe one of the things that they're keeping in or guarding is something that would constantly like wear on you, and your resolve, or trying to corrupt you. So if you're not enlightened, if you don't have the will to resist it, you know, that would be why that's why they went down this path of
like a terrible item of power or something.
Right. It could be like the monastery has a secret.
Okay. So you either got a terrible item of power, some kind of gateway to like a far realm, or some kind of chaotic plane, and they're basically the guardians of said object or.
So this initial person discovers it and resists it,
and takes it upon himself to
says, "Hey, this is like a giant
bomb." Or maybe one of the gods
charged him with it,
tasked him with it. It could even be like that's the origins, but that god fails him somehow, so he turns away from the gods and turns within. You can go either way with monk, though. Like it could be religious, or it could just be spiritual.
Right.
So that's like one of the places where you have to decide. Then, like, we're gonna have to decide. Well, obviously, like it's already been written in our history in the real world why monks trained martially. It was as a way to preserve their bodies because they weren't able to achieve enlightenment because they were too weak to meditate and rigorously the way they needed to. So we know that that there's a correlation with that, the martial and the enlightenment part of it. So that in addition with, we know they're trying to guard something. So it's our tradition of no monks. Now we could go one of 4 ways.
Okay, what are the 4 ways?
Open fist, shadow, or I don't know the other ones.
Elemental.
Elemental adept. I think.
Way of the elements.
Or create a new tradition.
Creating a new tradition.
I think this would totally be creating a new tradition that incorporates illusion and distraction.
Yeah, you know, it might almost be like a blending of either
The shadow and the regular.
shadow and open hand, or shadow and an elemental. So we can look there for similarities. Like in this video, I don't think we need to create the tradition.
Yeah. Right.
Like that could be a whole thing unto itself.
But
right?
if we had to just pick out of the out of what was available, which one would you go with?
Well, it's either open hand or shadow.
Right.
Now, there's nothing that says there can't be different sects within the monastery.
That would probably be
that train for different
one
things.
of the best ways to go, I think.
But I personally, I would like to just build a new one. I mean, what is it? It's like 3 abilities
Right.
that you're replacing.
Right.
So it's not really that big a deal.
Yeah.
So we won't do that today, but you know, more so like the backstory and stuff. So we need a name for our monastery. Oh, someone open up to gnome names, and let's because there's gonna be like a lot of weird stuff, and you know they do nicknames and real
36.
names and suffixes and.
So
I would say clan names might be.
We've got Baron, Dergal, Folkor, Garrick, Knackle, Mernig, Niggle, Ralmor, Shepin, Timbers, Tarin. So that's the clan names.
Okay, so and also open up to one. Just one of you stay there, and the other one open up to monasteries and orders. I think there's something on that in the monk section.
Okay, I'll check that.
So it's a monastery. It's going to be order of something more than likely. Is the monastery. Or then at least if you come up with a name for the order, then from there you can probably extrapolate a name for the monastery.
Okay.
Is my way of thinking.
Some of them are called Shulong, like it's just a Eastern monastery. Iron Hand School, 5-star school, the Northern Fist School. But then some of them are just school of something.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's definitely like a combination of mysticism and kung fu theater in there.
Yeah. They could also be associated with deities. Dark Moon, made up of like monks dedicated to Shar. So really, it's kind of as many.
Yeah, it's
Saint
open
Solars, the twice martyred. That's disciples of Saint Solar.
Yeah.
So you know, whatever.
So pretty,
we want to
pretty
make
much
it.
it's as open as we want it to be. You know, so if we see this as the order of
the Bound or something, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I like bound, but I'm not fond of I like the concept, but I don't like the word. So
Squirrel watchers.
Yeah.
Guarding and waiting,
we
and
could
watching
put
squirrels.
We could put that giant mound, that hill, in the center of like a redwood forest.
Mm.
That might be interesting. You know?
Oh yeah. All right. So what's what do we got besides bound? Restrained, chained.
Chained. Order of the Chained something. And is it a secret monastery, or are they out in the open? So, like that's another route to go too. You know.
Well, they've already got the low profile. They're on a hill. I mean, you'll be able to see if the lights are on, kind of thing. If there's candles walking by.
You could do Order of the Chained Fist and actually let people believe that it's about like fighting with chains when it's actually has to do more with the actual item, and the order actually carries and sometimes uses the chain to.
What if? Here's an idea. Here's a thought. Right, the Hidden Order of the Chained Fist, or Secret Order of the Chained Fist. Right, the fist. What if the fist is like an unnamed servant or son or daughter of Asmodeus or something? Or it could be like a demigod. The fist is really the fist of
Right.
the ex-god.
Mm-hmm. You know, but you go like because that they know what they're doing. You know, they carry or use chains to aid in the illusion of what they're actually really doing.
And you know the other thing too, like these gnomes, opposed to other gnomes, I really like the idea of creating our own discipline, tradition.
Yeah.
And like I said, like it's like 3 abilities, and I like the idea of mixing illusion in. But like these gnomes, unlike other gnomes, they're kind of a little broken because they're so serious.
Right.
You know, they don't have the traditional playfulness of what you expect from a gnome. They're kind of solemn.
Well, they still do their trickery and their distraction. And just,
well, in battle,
but it's more. There's more of a discipline to it.
They're not playful. Yeah. They're not practical jokers. You know, maybe occasionally that comes out a little bit, but not like if you have a forest gnome or a rock gnome in your party, you know, you expect to have your shoelaces tied. You expect like Gobble-O level stuff going on, maybe a little smarter, but
right. So, all right, well, we got one more thing fleshed out. Working on
secret order of the Chained Fist.
Now, is that the order name that everybody knows, or is that the like interior order when when you get the higher up level, they tell you about, hey, there's this god's chained fist downstairs kind of thing that we don't let the initiates go.
Yeah, well, yeah, you probably have to work your way up to knowing what's actually chained.
Like,
there.
I think like the whole like deception part of chained fist is part of the whole thing.
Like is it a fighting style? Maybe they make illusionary chains sometimes, and just to make it seem like that's what they're about. I don't know.
Well, maybe they swing a chain at your head, but you see 3.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Like
when you
augmented whip or something.
They know that they're protectors,
right,
of something, right? But like the specifics, they learn a little bit more as they progress through the order,
right?
You have to earn it,
right? As with every other monastery type or monastic tradition.
So I don't know, hidden, secret, lost order of the Chained Fist.
I'm prone to hidden, but we can go with whatever.
So so the populace at large wouldn't know about them. Maybe it'd be cool to reveal in a campaign, like the adventurers stumble upon it. Mm-hmm. They'd be slightly xenophobic, but not ridiculously so.
I would see them as like conversive but short. But don't bump. Like
so bad.
It really wasn't meant to. I didn't mean for that pun. It just kind of was there. But it's like they'll talk, they'll answer questions, they'll be polite, but they're not like, oh, come and check out our monastery.
Because in the end they've got something to hide.
Exactly.
What if we made like the whip like a monk weapon?
Mm-hmm.
But we just use whip out of the book, right? But it's not really a whip. What they're using is chains,
right?
Yeah, yeah. The alternate build for whatever the whip is,
right? But it works. It's a die 4 damage, and which they can use as a monk fighting style. It's a finesse weapon and it's reach,
right?
Ooh. So it'd be an interesting combination.
Mm-hmm.
for our little monks.
Little guys with 10-foot reach. Damn.
Well, we got to do something for them. It is
for the short stack.
It's definitely not the most optimal build.
No.
For a monk. We all know it's either human or wood elf.
Right.
But I'm definitely intrigued about what we can come up with as far as the archetype. I'm sure we can come up with some stuff.
Yeah. We just gotta look at the other powers and find things that are gonna fit the theme and are gonna fit the level.
Yeah. So now the next step is that we're gonna have to start writing stuff down and build it out a little bit, and then the monk option is there.
And whoever gets to use it first, that's where it will be. Bum, 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 bum.
Pretty much. Nate's like, I still got this. And then we need to come up with an evil god to bound their demigod child to them.
We got to come up with gods first.
Well, I mean, down the road. I mean, eventually we'll throw something in there.
Right.
No, I don't know. Maybe the blood demon's mortal vassal.
Could very well be
interconnected to some of the stuff we already have going on, or we can go in a new direction.
There's lots of options.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Why don't you guys help us out? Give us some ideas down in the comments. While you're at it, like, share, subscribe.
You can also check us out on Facebook.
And join the conversation over on Reddit. So until next time,
stay nerdy.